Have you ever noticed that being broke is strangely expensive? Not just emotionally, but mathematically. The less money you have, the more the system seems designed to take from you. One missed payment, one delayed paycheck, one small mistake. That's all it takes for the bank to flip a switch. Your account goes negative by a few dollars. And suddenly a $35 overdraft fee appears within hours. Sometimes multiple fees. You're standing at a gas station, swiping your card again and again while people wait behind you, hoping maybe this time it works. That moment doesn't look dramatic from the outside, but anyone who has lived it knows exactly how heavy it feels. And the hardest part? The bank doesn't see your story. It doesn't know your paycheck is coming tomorrow. It doesn't care that the charge was automatic or accidental. The system only sees one thing: your balance is negative. At this level, you are not treated like a valued customer. You are treated like a risk. A problem the system wants to correct with penalties. The people with the least money often pay the highest price just to stay afloat. But here's the truth most people miss: this level is not your identity. It's a season. Many financially successful people started exactly here: stressed, embarrassed, checking balances before every purchase. The difference is that eventually they learned the game. They stopped surviving month to month, started building margin, and slowly moved from being punished by money to being protected by it. Your current balance is not your future. It's just your starting point. Most people think financial struggle looks like chaos. But sometimes, it looks incredibly normal. Your account isn't negative anymore. You've survived that stage. There's usually a little money left in checking. Maybe $200. Sometimes $500 if the timing is good. From the outside, it feels like you're doing okay. But deep down, you know the truth: one unexpected expense could wipe everything out again. This is the level where life becomes a constant balancing act. You check your banking app before buying groceries. You mentally calculate bills while sitting in traffic. You avoid looking at your account after rent comes out because you already know the number will hurt a little. And quietly, in the background, the system keeps charging you for not having enough. Monthly maintenance fees, minimum balance penalties, tiny savings interest rates that grow your money by almost nothing while the bank uses your deposits to make far more from someone else. It's a strange reality when you realize the people who need every dollar the most are often paying the highest percentage just to access basic financial services. But this stage teaches something powerful that wealthy people eventually understand: consistency matters more than appearances. At this level, you may not feel successful. Nobody is congratulating you for keeping your account positive. Nobody celebrates the discipline it takes to survive paycheck to paycheck without collapsing financially. But those small habits matter more than people realize. Because this is usually the stage where financial transformation quietly begins. Not with a lottery ticket, not with a viral business idea, but with simple decisions repeated over and over again. Spending a little less, saving a little more, learning how money actually works. And eventually, one day, you stop feeling like you're barely surviving. You start realizing you're finally building stability. That's when everything begins to change. Most people don't realize the financial system starts treating you differently long before you become. The first big shift usually happens when your income becomes stable. Your paycheck starts arriving consistently. Bills get paid on time more often. Your account balance stops swinging between panic and survival every single month. And quietly, without any announcement, the system begins opening doors that used to stay. The credit card offers start showing up. Real approvals become possible. Small loans get accepted instead of denied. Monthly account fees disappear because you're direct depots. It may not sound life-changing to someone already financially comfortable. But if you've ever struggled financially, you know exactly how powerful that Because after spending years expecting rejection, approval changes your mindset. For the first time, the system stops treating you like a liability and starts treating you like someone worth keeping. And honestly, that shift has less to do with luck than most people think. It comes from consistency. That's the part social media rarely talks about. Financial progress is usually boring before it becomes impressive. It's waking up early for work, paying bills on time, avoiding unnecessary debt, building trust with your own habits month after month until opportunities naturally start appearing. And once momentum stress decreases, confidence grows. You stop feeling trapped financially and start feeling capable. Not because you suddenly became wealthy overnight, but because stability creates options. And options create freedom. That's why people who build lasting financial success focus less on looking rich and more on becoming financially reliable. If you're working toward that level right now, comment 1 below. One of the most powerful moments in financial life is realizing the game finally starts working with you. At first, the changes seem small. Your savings account slowly grows. You stop carrying credit card balances every month. Your emergency fund no longer disappears every time life becomes inconvenient. Then one day, you notice something interesting. The bank starts trusting you before you. Your credit limit increases automatically. Loan offers arrive with lower interest rates. The same financial system that once charged you fees for being broke now begins offering you better terms. And that's the P. Wealth is not only about how much money you make. It's about how much friction disappears once you become financially stable. When your financial profile improves, everyday life becomes cheaper. Borrowing costs less. Interest rates improve. You keep more of your own money instead of giving it away through penalties and high-risk pricing. Quietly, behind the scenes, the system starts rewarding. Not flashy success. Not social media success. See. And honestly, this stage feels deep. You stop checking your bank account with anxiety. Unexpected expenses no longer feel like emergencies. You begin making decisions based on long-term goals instead of short-term survival. That mental shift alone because once financial pressure decreases, your mind finally has room to think. That's when investing becomes possible. That's when Most people think wealth begins when someone becomes rich. But often, wealth actually begins much earlier, the moment a person builds enough stability for compound growth to finally take over. And once that momentum starts, life becomes less about catching up and more about building forward. Most people think banks care about personality, loyalty, or hard work. They don't. They care about one thing above everything else: assets. And the moment your savings and investments start reaching real numbers, everything changes. Maybe you have $150 saved across cash, retirement accounts, and investments. You are not flying private jets. You are not rich by internet standards. But to a retail bank, you suddenly become extremely valuable. The hold times get shorter. Problems get solved faster. Fees that used to feel unavoidable somehow disappear with one phone call. You may even get assigned a dedicated banker, someone who actually knows your name, responds to your emails, and checks in occasionally. At first, it feels surprising. But what's really happening is simple. The financial system rewards people who already look financially stable. And this is where wealth starts compounding in ways most people never notice. Not only through investments, but through access. You qualify for better credit cards, better mortgage rates, better financial products. The cost of borrowing money decreases while the opportunities available to you increase. Slowly, Your money begins creating advantages beyond the actual dollars themselves. That's why financial growth accelerates over time. Because once you reach a certain level of stability, the system stops placing obstacles in front of you and starts opening doors instead. And honestly, one of the biggest mindset shifts at this stage is realizing wealth is quieter than most people imagine. It's not about showing off. It's not about looking rich online. It's about having options, having leverage, having enough financial strength that unexpected problems no longer control your life. The truth is, most wealthy people did not reach this level through one massive moment. They reached it through years of ordinary discipline repeated consistently. And eventually, consistency becomes credibility. That's when the world begins treating you differently. Did you know there's a level of wealth where the bank stops selling to you and starts listening to you instead? If you're serious about reaching that level one day, comment 1 below. Because this is where the financial world changes completely. When your net worth climbs into the high six figures or beyond, banks no longer see you as just another customer opening accounts and swiping credit cards. They begin seeing you as a long-term asset worth protecting. The conversations become different. Instead of offering random promotions, they start asking about your goals, your future, your family, your investments. You are introduced to wealth management, tax strategy, estate planning, and financial advisors whose entire job is helping wealthy clients preserve and grow money efficiently. And something fascinating happens at this stage. Time becomes more valuable than money. Problems that used to take days suddenly get solved in one phone call. Wire transfers, fraud alerts, loan approvals. Everything moves faster because the system prioritizes people who bring larger financial relationships into the bank. Most people think wealth only changes what you can buy. But real wealth changes how the world responds to you. It changes the rooms you enter, the conversations you have, the opportunities you see, even the level of stress you carry every day. But here's the most important part. Almost nobody arrives here overnight. The people who reach this level usually spent years building quietly, investing consistently, avoiding lifestyle inflation, learning patience while everyone else chased shortcuts. And eventually, all those ordinary decisions compound into an extraordinary life. That's why financial freedom is not really about impressing strangers. It's about creating a life where money stops controlling your decisions. A life where you finally have options, flexibility, and peace. And the beautiful part is this: every wealthy person once started at level 1. There's a level of wealth where the rules don't exactly change, but somehow they start bending in your favor. Most people never see this world up close. Because once someone reaches several $1 million in assets, banking stops looking like the experience most ordinary people know. At this level, opportunities appear that are never advertised publicly. Lower mortgage rates, exclusive investment access, private deals, specialized advisors, entire teams focused on protecting and multiplying wealth. The bank no longer treats you like a customer walking into a branch. They treat you like a relationship worth preserving at almost any cost. And honestly, this is where many people finally realize an uncomfortable truth about money: wealth creates access. Not because wealthy people are necessarily smarter or more deserving, but because financial institutions trust stability. A person with millions invested is viewed as low risk, high value, and highly profitable over the long term. So the system responds differently to them. Faster approvals, better terms, more flexibility, more attention. What's fascinating is that most of these advantages are invisible to the average person. People see the car, the house, the vacation photos. They don't see the cheaper cost of capital behind it all. They don't see how much easier financial life becomes once money starts opening doors instead of blocking them. But here's the lesson that matters most. The people who build lasting wealth usually understand that money is not just about consumption. It's about leverage, freedom, access, control over your time and decisions. And almost always, the journey begins quietly. One investment, one disciplined habit, one smart financial decision repeated for years while nobody is paying attention. That's how wealth is really built in America. Not overnight, not through hype, but through consistency powerful enough that eventually even the system starts treating you differently. Did you know there's a level of wealth where the bank will customize the rules around you? If you want to reach that level someday, comment 1 below. Because once someone becomes ultra wealthy, banking stops feeling like a public service and starts feeling like a private ecosystem built around protecting their time, money, and influence. At this level, people don't just have a banker. They have a private banker, someone whose entire job is managing a very small number of wealthy relationships. They know the client's family, business goals, investments, even long-term legacy plans. Conversations happen directly with decision-makers, not customer service departments. And that changes everything. Loans are negotiated, not advertised. Investment minimums can be waived. Deals move faster. Problems get solved immediately because the institution understands that keeping high-value relationships matters enormously. Now, here's the part most people misunderstand. The wealthy are not operating under different laws. The bank is simply using every ounce of flexibility legally available in their favor. Fees disappear. Exceptions happen faster. Approval timelines shrink. The same system that once felt cold and rigid suddenly becomes human, responsive, and solution-oriented. That realization changes the way you look at money forever. Because true wealth is not only about buying luxury. It's about reducing friction in life. It's about gaining access, speed, flexibility, and control over your decisions. And ironically, many ultra-wealthy people did not get there through flashy lifestyles. They got there through decades of patience, ownership, investing, and disciplined thinking while everyone else chased shortcuts. That's why financial freedom is bigger than income. It's the ability to move through life with options, to solve problems quickly, to protect your family, to create opportunities instead of waiting for them. And every single level of wealth begins with the same thing: one decision to start building instead of just surviving. What if the biggest difference between rich people and everyone else isn't intelligence, but simply understanding how the system actually works? And if you want more videos that reveal the hidden rules of money, make sure to subscribe to the channel right now. Because the truth is, every financial level changes the way the world responds to you. At the bottom, the system feels cold, expensive, and unforgiving. One mistake costs you fees, stress, and sleepless nights. But as your financial stability grows, something remarkable happens. Access improves. Opportunities expand. The same institutions that once ignored you begin competing for your business. That's why building wealth is about far more than buying expensive things. It's about freedom. Freedom from panic. Freedom from constantly checking your bank balance. Freedom to make decisions based on long-term goals instead of short-term survival. And the most inspiring part is this: almost nobody starts at the top. Most financially successful people once struggled quietly behind the scenes. They learned discipline before luxury, patience before success, consistency before recognition. Wealth is rarely built in one dramatic moment. It's usually built slowly, through small, smart decisions repeated over and over again until life finally starts compounding in your favor. Your financial future does not change overnight. But one decision to start building today can completely change where you end up tomorrow.